The capital of the energy world is in Washington, D.C. today. President Trump is scheduled to meet with CEOs and executives from oil and gas companies at the White House. Those discussions will focus on what it might take for them to explore going into Venezuela, or in the case of ExxonMobil and ConocoPhillips, going back into the country. Let's bring in Brian Sullivan, who's in Washington right now, to talk about what to expect. And Brian, good morning.
Good morning, Becky. There's a lot on the table here. The meeting expected to begin around 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be heading to the White House soon. We will be there. The full guest list is not exactly sussed out. We know that ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods, who you know, Becky, will be there. We know that the CEO of ConocoPhillips, Ryan Lance, will be there. Chevron sending an executive, their CEO, recovering from, I think, knee surgery. You've got Harold Hamm of Continental Resources going. And then there's some executives from Shell, from Eni, from Repsol that are likely to attend, along with some others. Won't probably know the full guest list until we actually see the executives walk in that door. All right, so what is on the table and what is on the line? Well, last night in a True Social post, President Trump saying that the second wave of attacks on Venezuela would be canceled because Venezuela is effectively cooperating, although you notice just under that highlight, President Trump writing, quote, at least $100 billion will be invested by big oil, all of whom I am meeting with today at the White House. Thank you for your attention to this matter. $100 billion in investments possible in Venezuela. I want to be clear. I have personally spoken with and talked to and texted with every major oil and gas company that would go down to Venezuela. There are no plans right now for any companies to be going down directly. There are some companies that, of course, are going to look at it. As you noted, Becky, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, they were in Venezuela until 2007 when they tried to get into I'll call it a negotiation, an argument with then dictator President Hugo Chavez. ConocoPhillips and Exxon left/were expelled, and they are owed billions of dollars from the Venezuelan government. I'm not exactly sure where that $100 billion figure comes from, and to put that into perspective, that would be over 3 times ExxonMobil's annual entire capital spending. So hopefully more answers will be given at the meeting today, and we will be out at the White House later.
Hey, Brian, we've raised the question of whether this meeting today is basically the president making these companies an offer they can't refuse. It reminds me a little bit of when Hank Paulson called in all the banks and said, hey, you're all taking a piece of this during the financial crisis last time around, too.
Yes, it's a good analogy, metaphor. I can never remember which one is which. I would say, though, at that time, the banks largely, most of them, needed the money. I think the big variable here, Becky, is that with oil at $57, $56 and possibly going lower because there is more oil supply than oil demand, many of the oil and gas companies that I've spoken with this week have said, listen, we just don't, there's not really an economic reason to go. If oil was $100 a barrel, if there were shortages of oil in the United States, we might be able to make the argument a little bit easier that we would want to go down to Venezuela, spend billions of dollars, potentially put employees in rough positions because security guarantees for the safety of the employees are going to be jobs number 1, 2, and 3. Everything flows after that. So at $58 a barrel is the oil needed. The one thing I would add, and this is a little bit off topic, but not really, Becky, I'm sure we've seen some of the images and videos coming out of Iran. Now, the Iranian protests, whatever the actual stance, we don't really know because it's Iran. They've shut down the internet reportedly, Western media, not a big part of the Iranian story. If these protests, pro-democracy, pro-human protests succeed, there's some video, then there is one oil company in Iran, NIOC, National Iranian Oil Corporation. It's a state enterprise. If there is some disruption in that flow because, hey, maybe the NIOC employees want to join into the protests so they can get their country back, 3.2 million barrels per day. If there is a disruption there, that might change some of the math and the investment calculus and the supply-demand calculus on Venezuelan oil. A little bit of a sideways story, but certainly related to just a market that is truly global in nature.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. Oil up this morning by about 1%, 58.30 for WTI. Brian, we'll be watching through the day and eager to hear more about what you learn. Thank you.